The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
And hello and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Darren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our community and around the world. First up, we'll bring you the latest headlines in local, national, and international news. And after that, we'll continue our Law A to Z series with immigration law. And a little bit later on in the show, the annual fair in the square is approaching. We'll find out more about the event and the efforts to revitalize the community. Plus, we'll sit down with an organization working to make our city a healthier place. And finally, we'll hear about a booming local business and what they're doing for the local economy. So stay tuned, because all this and much more is heading your way, because right now, we're officially open. And hello everyone, I'm Darren Jaime. Today is Wednesday, May the 1st, 2013. Can you believe it? Yes, it is. And of course, you're watching Open, the only live and interactive program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to your TV set. We want you to be encouraged to stay connected to us. So you can find out about us on Twitter at BronxNet TV and Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. Well, leading things off with national news, President Barack Obama is vowing to take action to close the prison camp at Guantanamo Bay. The president promised to take this issue back to Congress, which blocked his earlier attempts to fulfill a 2008 campaign promise to close the camp. The promise was welcomed by campaign groups who urged the president to appoint someone to act immediately. On the international front, according to reports released by the National Statistics Agency this week, China's manufacturing growth has dropped in the month of April, leaving officials worried about the future of the world's second largest economy. China's economy, has averaged growth about 10% a year for the past 3 decades, allowing the national to surpass competitors. But in 2012, the growth slowed to 7.8%. Analysts believe that China has a tough economic road ahead. And back here in the borough of the Bronx, residents have taken notice of the new city-sponsored smoking ads. Some residents find the ads too graphic, but South Bronx residents believe the ads have proven effective. Smoking in New York City is down 7%. Bronx teens have the lowest smoking numbers of all 5 boroughs. And those are the headlines on the national and international front. We got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll come back with our legal corner. That's right after this.
Yes?
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yup.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster.
And welcome back. Today in our Law A to Z series, we will discuss all you need to know about immigration law and your rights. We welcome back our attorney and legal correspondent, David Lesh, to the show. And when you talk about we can stay here for a long minute because immigration is the talk of the town, the talk of the nation.
It's the hot topic, and we're talking about really the Immigration Reform Act, which is an act that, the Immigration Reform Bill. It's not yet an act. It's proposed in the Senate by what's called the Gang of Eight senators. It's bipartisan legislation. The problem is the House isn't on board yet, but at least the Senate has a plan. And I'm going to read to you the introduction of the bill by the 8 senators. It says, we recognize that our immigration system is broken, and while border security has improved significantly over the last 2 administrations, we still don't have a functioning immigration system. This has created a situation where up to 11 million undocumented immigrants are living in the shadows. So what do they propose, the Gang of 8? Well, there are 4 pillars to this particular legislation. The first one has to do with really continuing to secure our borders with either aerial patrols, a better system where we know who's coming and going. If people are overstaying their visas, it's very important that we know what's going on at the borders themselves. We've done a fairly good job of policing the borders in the last couple of years. We have to improve that system. The same part of that first pillar involves the 11 million illegal immigrants who are here right now. First thing they're going to have to do is they have to say to the United States, we're here. Okay, here, this is my name. All right? There'll be a background check. They'll have, if they have any criminal history, they may be deported. They'll have to pay any back fines, any back taxes. Once that's done, they go to the back of the line. You're looking at anywhere between 10 to 15 years for where they can actually move to the point where they will be able to get a green card. Once they get to the back of the line, it starts all over again. Again, they will have to pay any back taxes they have to pay. Their previous employers will be contacted to see what their employment history is, and slowly they will move up the chain. Now, of course, there will be exceptions for any children who were not necessarily born in this country but have been here for a significant amount of time. And there looks like there will also be some type of exceptions for any workers who have been in the agricultural field, because they really have been doing a great service for our country in an area where a lot of Americans don't want those jobs. So I think those particular immigrants will be moved a little faster.
Let me get this right. Legal challenges just on that point alone.
Yes.
Many?
Well, of course, because what you're talking about is you're granting 11 million people the right to become citizens. A lot of people feel, well, they haven't been here, they haven't been paying taxes, they haven't been paying their fines. Why are we giving them the right to do this? Well, other people say, hey, it's almost like getting a driver's license. You get a ticket, you have a couple of points on your license, you work off your points. You take a class, you do what you need to do, so yet your license is valid again. There's really not much of a difference. So we shouldn't be punishing those people. So that first pillar could be debated for 5 shows.
Right.
Okay. The second pillar has to do with the best and the brightest. We want the best and the brightest from other countries to come here, and they haven't been coming here because our immigration system is broken. Why come here if they're going to be put to the back of the line, if they know it takes years and years just to get their paperwork through, or they may just come here illegally? We need to attract talent. That's very, very important. So we have to clean up the immigration system so that we know people from the other countries are going to come here and they're going to be rewarded, especially if they have PhDs or master's degrees and they're from United States universities and colleges. We're going to push them along quicker. We're going to get them faster to become United States citizens. We want the talent. We need the talent. Very, very important. That's the second pillar. The third pillar has to do with the employers themselves. Many employers have been hiring undocumented aliens knowingly. and they should be punished. And we have to find out who they are, and we have to make the fines much stricter. The problem is a lot of the employers say, hey, this person came to me with a social security card and an identity. I didn't know it wasn't their identity. I didn't know it was a fake social security card. You have to help me. You can't find me. You have to help me. So we're going to put practices into effect that are going to help the employers figure out who is legal and who is not legal. Better system looking at their identity to figure out whether that person coming to them is truly documented.
The big question is, if this is enacted, we're still talking about things that are going to take 20 to 25 years to really get correct.
Well, it's at least a plan. You know, our country is finally ready to acknowledge that something has to be done. I mean, this particular bill is a bipartisan effort. There are 8 senators, 4 Republicans, and 4 Democrats. When was the last time you saw 4 and 4 agreeing on one particular issue?
Gun control?
Well, maybe gun control, but they're not. But you know what? That didn't even pass. Right. So the Firearms Act, that didn't even pass. But this is only going to make it through the Senate. It still has to be debated in the House. And remember, the House wants to cut it into pieces. Maybe take one pillar, not take another pillar. And the last final pillar, by the way, the 4th pillar, has to do with making sure that jobs are available for the people who are undocumented. You know, as the economy is growing, we need positions to be filled. Of course, always in the agricultural field. We need people to take those positions. Of course, we have to make sure that Americans who want those jobs are offered those jobs. Mm-hmm. But if the Americans don't want the jobs, the Americans who are here, the citizens that are here, that we have to offer those jobs to the illegal aliens, because we need those positions filled. We have to identify what jobs we need those positions filled, and then we have to reach out to the illegal aliens, say, we need you in there. Now, of course, there are always going to be people who feel that they're taking jobs away from those on the lower rung of the spectrum. But the argument against that is like, look, they're undercutting you, okay, the illegal aliens, because they're working for monies that are so low, you can't afford to work for those monies. But if we find out who they are and we make them legal, they will have to work for at least minimum wage. Not half of minimum wage, minimum wage. Right. And you will be able to compete with them. So it really will help you when they come out of the shadows. I've read articles about individuals who say that, they can't get jobs because, the illegal immigrants are working in the back of kitchens. And now everybody in the kitchen speaks Spanish. They don't speak Spanish, so they're not hired. And because why should they be hired in the kitchen when all the employees are only speaking Spanish? Right. So they say, well, that's not fair to me. Well, that's true. It's not. So we have to identify what jobs are available and make sure that the American citizens are offered certain jobs. But if you don't want to work in that position, then that's different. Right.
Do we see any real action on this coming close?
There will be action. There's going to be a vote on it very, very soon. It's up for debate. The American society is ready for a change, and it's time. I don't know how many of those 4 pillars are going to still stand by the time this passes, but it will pass. Mm-hmm. You might only have a couple pillars that pass. Mm-hmm. It's certainly, maybe if they go to the back of the line, there'll be some additional tests that that have to be fulfilled. Maybe, they have to wait an additional year or 2 before they even get to the back of the line. So there are going to be pillars that are going to be undercut. But I guarantee you that a form of this immigration reform bill is going to be passed, probably within the next 3 to 6 months. And it's going to be a major piece of legislation and a major win for the White House.
As a person that's ground friendly in the Bronx County Courthouse, how often are we seeing immigration cases come before court?
Well, you know what? The way I see it many times is, when I'm picking juries, I see, the jurors themselves, a lot of times, are not documented, and and then all of a sudden, they get letters in the mail because they vote, they want to vote, and they're on different voting. And then they show up. They don't speak English, and then they're excused. But within the courthouse itself, there are many different petitions that are being filed to try and get people through. Most of the petitions are in the federal courthouse, obviously, because you're talking about it's a federal to become a citizen. You got to apply for federal actions. But I see the dealings that I have. I don't practice immigration law, but the dealings that I have are with the jurors. Who have come here and still have not learned English, and that's a problem because we want them to be able to sit and hear cases. But this is we could talk about this immigration reform bill for the next 3 months because it's going to constantly be debated. It will be maybe not the first thing on the news, it'll be the second or the third thing on the news. So, we'll move on to the letter J, but unfortunately the immigration topic will be around for a long time.
And when we've done immigration shows here, I mean, we've opened up the phone lines and we've had to shut people off. I mean, literally hundreds of people on the phone.
And there are attorneys, unfortunately, who are taking advantage of a lot of people. They take their money, they lose their documentation, and if you don't get it right the first time and you put papers in, it's not like you get a do-over. You got to make sure your papers are in there and they're in there correctly. I know that from my family members, my mother who practices in immigration law. If you don't get that stuff in there the first time right, you go to the back of the line. So you got to make sure.
Maybe we bring you back and you discuss that and let some people know
bring
exactly
her back.
Right. Whoever. Yeah, be good. Coming up on today's verdict, let's talk about that.
But today's verdict, we've been doing a lot of shows on gun control. We've been doing shows on a little lighter stuff. We have an attorney who created a whole chessboard on different areas of the law, which I think is fun. He's coming in. A few authors that are coming in. A lot of good stuff coming in. Tuesday night, 6:30.
All righty. David Lesh, good to have you.
Nice to be here.
All right, as always, you can catch David Lesh on today's verdict, as he said, Tuesday nights, 6:30, right here on BronxNet's Channel 67. Well, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll hear about a community event that you don't want to miss. What is that event? Well, you got to come back in order to find out.
Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting wild as a bug. I'm in love, I'm all shook up. Ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. Oh, well, my hands are shaking and my knees are weak. I can't seem to stand on my own 2 feet. Ooh, do you think when you have such luck, I'm in love, I'm all shook up.
Did you find the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yep.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
Hands can do incredible things. Now they can even help save a life with hands-only CPR. If you see an adult suddenly collapse, just call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Learn more at handsonlycpr.org.
Low-fat cheese sandwiches on whole wheat bread. Chewy and good for you. Snacks high in calcium help build strong bones, and foods rich in fiber are good for your heart. So you have the power to dominate. Can your food do that? Run, throw, think, eat better. Find out more at smallstep.gov.
The Westchester Square Business Improvement District has a goal to stabilize, revitalize, and build economic growth in the community. On May 11th, in collaboration with the Bronx Council on the Arts and the New York City Parks and Recreation Department, they're going to host their 5th annual Fair at the Square. Now, here to share more about the Westchester Square Business Improvement District and the upcoming event is Greg Perry, who's the president of the Westchester Square Merchants Association, and Lisa Soren, who's the executive director of the Westchester Square BID, better known as the Business Improvement District. And welcome both back to the show.
Thank you.
So once again, this time of year, and it's got to be an exciting time for you guys.
Very, very exciting. I mean, we have a fantastic show coming up this year. We have entertainment, okay, of course, we have the music, we have the dances, we have different cultures coming. The Bangladeshi community is going to be with us. What else we got?
Everything from freestyle, old school, to Elvis Presley.
They're all
it's all going to be there.
It's all there. And it's also a celebration of the area. And it's seen a lot of revitalization. I've been covering the Bronx for 16, 17 years, but when you look at Westchester Square, you got to be pleased with the renovation and the restoration of that area.
Well, it's the passion that's been brought by the merchants, the Merchant Association. The bid in of itself is new, only in existence less than a year. So I'm stepping into a really good foundation that was set by the Merchant Association and the property owners and people who really want to see it lifted. So I'm gathering their passion and taking it one step further. So the changes have been amazing, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, Greg.
I just want to just say one thing publicly. I really want to compliment Lisa Soren for jumping in with both feet. I mean, she's been fantastic. It's been a hard job to go around and get the merchants to be cohesive and everything else. And one of the things I must say about Lisa Soren is that she is a great listener. Okay, she listens to the members of the executive committee. She listens to the merchants, and she puts many things into action that we want to do. So I'm very pleased with it, and definitely we're so pleased with what's coming up this year for the show.
I want to ask a question about the tie-in, because you have that public component, which people who just walk the streets and are involved in that neighborhood, and then you do have the merchants, and it almost has to be this fusion of both.
Absolutely.
How are you able to make this fusion occur, and really to get the merchants to even buy into this?
Well, I think it's the excitement, right? The excitement is seen, it's heard. We've gotten wonderful media coverage. So, and the one-on-one communication with the merchants, they see it, they want to succeed. There's a big push behind small business services and the potential of growth for all our merchants. And then you have the community who loves going to the big shopping, co-op and all these targets, but then you have those who want to stay in their community. So it's a really good mixture of offering our community what they want. It's a destination place. It's home. It's the main street of the Bronx.
So on May 11th, what will people have the opportunity to partake in?
Well, the community, first of all, will realize that we are definitely a major hub in the Bronx. We have the Hutch Metro Center, okay, which is right down the street, which is has been one of our major sponsors over the years. They're very cooperative with us. We have the school, which is what is it? Lehman High School, okay, that's right down the street. They work with us. Their culinary programs and so on. What is it? The flag bearers. What do we call that?
The guards.
Guards, right.
Okay. There we go.
And the other aspects is that the excitement is there also with many of the food vendors. Okay, we have outside food vendors coming in, and the amount of foot traffic that we're creating is usually between 5,000 and 7,000 people. And what I really have enjoyed is that people from the outside boroughs have called us and asked us when are we going to have it? When is it going to be coming on? Because many people have come in, and the other thing that I really like is when the other bid individuals come and participate with us. We have BronxNet Merchants Association that gets involved with us. We have Morris Park Merchant Association. We have the Jerome bid to come. We have the Fordham bid to come. I mean, it is a phenomenal networking hub that we have at Westchester Square.
When you look at the things that are coming in, you're getting your first very own Metro North train station. You're also getting you're also having a first Bronx hotel that's going to be all in that area. What do you think that says to potential people who want to live, work, and really frequent the area of the Westchester Business Improvement District?
Well, I'm going to defer that right now first to Lisa, okay, because she's involved with the bid on a regular basis. So, Lisa, how would you answer that?
I think that they're becoming our anchor. You know, Westchester Square bid has always had the problem of minimum foot traffic because there aren't anchors. So if there aren't anchors, there isn't foot traffic. It's a vicious cycle. The blessing that we're getting with this hotel and the Hutch Metro and our 5 hospitals has now given an opportunity for Westchester to tie in together. They need services, they need the stores, they need our merchants. You know, if you're staying at the hotel, you don't want to have to get on a bus or take a shuttle. Come visit we have everything you need to shop, to enjoy. The park is opening after 3 years. So we have all these programs that are coming forward. So it's a place, a destination place for cultural, entertainment, shopping. It doesn't get any better.
And the Westchester Square Fair at the Square is the kickoff, okay? And when we say the kickoff, many people that will be coming from the Connecticut areas, okay, coming down on the Metro North to be in our community. Lisa has planned for the summer many concerts, many entertainment events throughout within the Olin Dolan Park, which is under the Parks and Recreation. We have other events where we're networking with individuals from BNI and other community groups through the area. So all of these things coming together is going to be a great emphasis of us constantly growing to be one of the major hub centers, okay, in the Bronx.
With all that you've got going on, obviously you still have some needs and some wants and some things that you'd like to see. What are those?
More stores, more attention, more, the bid is now providing clean, safe, culturally active area. We'd like to see the recognition of that from some major stores to say, we can invest in Westchester Square. That's our end goal. Bring those merchants, bring those bigger stores. You have all the outer stores. We're that little piece of heaven, as per se. We have all this transportation and people coming through, come and shop. So our goal is to bring in those bigger stores, accommodate the Hutch Metro, the 911 center, our hotel. We have a huge target audience that we're focusing on. And we're going to be the biggest thing for them.
When you talk about merchants and you talk about businesses, obviously a lot of America is really strengthened not by big business but by small businesses.
That's correct.
And the ability to have small businesses that are doing viable work in the community. What are the cries that we're hearing from small businesses these days? Because sometimes they're often the ones that don't get the voice. So what are we hearing from small businesses? Because when I think about Westchester Business Improvement District and the Westchester Merchants Association, I'm thinking about a community that's centered by a lot of small businesses.
Well, it's funny that you asked that question because we had a meeting with Senator Klein last week, and one of the things that that he was addressing was tax savings. Okay, when we hire a lot of people, when we have certain facets to go into the community, our taxes become a major issue. Lisa has identified a few other things that went on.
Absolutely, because the state has recognized that the small business is the backbone of our economy. I mean, you can bring in all the major businesses, but it's the small businesses that make it. So in recognizing that, all these incentives that are being offered, as Greg was saying, but you also have incentives like hiring veterans, getting $1,500 back for hiring your veterans. All these incentives that, one, are putting people to work, are attracting people to the smaller businesses, and we're helping them grow that way. And there's a lot of other work. And as the bid, we're going to bring those programs to our merchants and give them opportunities, partner up with other organizations, other establishments that are going to bring people, money, and help them save money in the long run. And that's my job. My job is to make sure that they get there.
I just want to say one last thing. One of the things that we want to do is also utilize the educational anchors that are in the Bronx, okay? One of the things that we make an effort to do is bring in interns, okay, in order to assist us in some of our needs. For example, we know that 71% of the Bronx demographically is Spanish speaking. And based upon that, you have many merchants that cannot speak Spanish. So therefore, the need to bring in trained or interns in order to work within the small stores or with the stores in general is a major asset. So our educational systems are helping us in that way by providing us with interns.
Well, we want to thank you both for coming and sharing. Once again, let's get some final information about Fair at the Square taking place on May the 11th.
May the 11th.
to 6, some of the best concerts, freestyle, our own BronxNet Rena is one of our MCs, so come and have a great time. It's gonna be the party of the century.
All right, Lisa, Greg, thank you so much for coming. Stay with us. Stay right there until we take this break, actually, I should say. And we want you to stay with us too, because guess what? You've seen a little bit of Fair at the Square, but we're gonna take this quick, short break. But coming up, we're gonna find out about community health. We'll encourage you to stay tuned and find out more about that when we return.
Hi, this is Jeff Fox. for 107.5 WBLS. And when I get off the radio, I check out my man, the Dr. Bob Lee and Cool Clyde. It's open on BronxNet. I never miss it.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
There is also a very attractive extended warranty option that includes free service and parts for the next 5 years. But there's no need for you to get that. You failed to get the test you needed at the doctor that would have detected disease early enough where it could have been treated. So you won't be around in 2 years to see him grow up, which means the warranty would be useless. Okay, sign here, please.
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
Did you find the flashlight and the batteries?
Yes.
Did you make sure we're not missing anything in the first aid kit?
Yup.
Did you go through the plan with the kids again?
Yes.
The more you prepare today, the more you'll be able to reduce the devastating effects of a tornado, an earthquake, a power outage, or any other disaster.
Alcohol is the third leading cause of death in the United States, and the numbers continue to rise. The Partnership for a Healthier New York City is working to address these problems through delivery of public education campaigns, and we are pleased to be joined by the Alcohol Program Manager for the Partnership for a Healthier New York City, Lena Orkin, and the Coordinator of Community Programs for the Archdiocese of New York Drug Abuse Prevention Program, Ms. Janet Bliss. That's a whole lot to say, but I was able to say it anyway. Thank you very much for both of you joining us. And obviously, as we said, you're coming out. This is May the 1st, but April was a very busy month for both of you.
Yes, April was Alcohol Awareness Month, and so a lot was happening around the city as part of the partnership and other efforts that were happening. We had a huge event on April 10th where we used art and film to showcase the hidden harms of alcohol. It was great. We had dozens of organizations. Janet's organization was part of it as well, and we're doing lots. We also have a great infographic about the hidden harms of alcohol that we've been promoting. Lots going on, and just because it's May 1st doesn't mean our work is over.
That's
we have to
right.
continue to raise awareness.
Well, can you give us a little bit about those hidden harms of alcohol? Because I think sometimes what we see is just, people just use and think, hey, it's okay, but there are some harms.
Definitely. Well, we could talk about either the underage drinkers or the seniors, which is the area that we're moving into.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of see that more as the hidden population. With
Seniors,
the hidden,
yeah.
Seniors,
Uh-huh.
the hidden population, because, as seniors are reaching 60 and 65, no one seems to want to address their use of alcohol mixed with medication. The medical profession, themselves, families, everyone. It's kind of like the adolescents. It's almost like a rite of passage. They lived all these years. Oh, let them have fun. They grew up in the generation where they saw Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., that whole Rat Pack, drinking and having a great time on TV, thinking that that's the norm. But now we're finding out, and much more research is coming out to show that that's not the norm, and there are risks involved. And just recently, talk about Alcohol Awareness Month, April 29th, the New York Times put out an article about the rising tide of substance abuse, focusing on the elderly. Very interesting statistics. They're saying the sense of magnitude of the looming mental health crisis for the year 2010 with 14 to 20% of the elderly have had either a substance abuse crisis or a mental health issue. And as the baby boomers are living longer, they're coming into that stage of life with even more a larger history of substance abuse as well.
And we're seeing the graphic on the screen talking about adult binge drinking by income and gender. We just saw that graphic right there, and you're looking and you're seeing a lot of seniors becoming more involved. We're also seeing a lot of underage drinking that's becoming involved in too. Give a little bit about your efforts to really curb and bring awareness to underage drinking.
Sure. So we definitely care at the partnership about underage drinking for many reasons. First of all, there's been a lot of research showing that the earlier people start drinking, the more likely they are to have problems down the line. There's actually some really scary research showing that alcohol use, especially in the underage crowd, is actually a major risk factor in the 3 leading causes of death for that population. So accidental injuries, homicide, and suicide, which is very concerning. And so we're really concerned about that. In the Bronx, and actually citywide, about 1 in 3 youth report ever drinking, which is really concerning because there are all sorts of other unintended consequences too. For instance, clearly when you're drinking, you might be more likely to not use a condom, which can lead to STDs and unplanned pregnancies, which is a huge issue, in the city and especially in the Bronx. We also have the issue of violence, which is definitely associated with alcohol, and those issues span the whole lifeline. It doesn't matter how old you are. Alcohol really can be associated with many things that we're concerned about. Also cancer. There's been some new research coming out, talk about relevancy to the elderly population as well. Some research around cancer and alcohol, which hasn't really been talked about very much. So really that's why we want to raise awareness. We've been trying to be more creative by using art and film, like for our event on April 10th. We actually just worked with the Educational Video Center to create a film called Under 21 that's been screened around the Bronx as well as around the city. So we're really just trying to be creative and really think outside the box, because I think there are a lot of issues like HIV and violence that people really care about, but they might not be talking to the alcohol people, and so maybe we can bring them together to talk about the issue.
I think one of the notes that I had here that really stuck out to me was 2 in 5 youth, 40% of youth who begin drinking before the age of 15 will become alcohol dependent in their lifetime. That's major.
Absolutely. It's really worrisome, and actually it's extremely relevant to news that just came out, I believe, earlier this spring. The State Liquor Authority did undercover operations in neighborhoods across the city, and they found that 60% of the retailers that were approached as part of this investigation in the Bronx sold to someone who was underage. So we really need to think about, as retailers, as parents, as friends, how can we limit the promotion and accessibility of alcohol to our youth, because it is so harmful for them to start drinking at such a young age for many reasons.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. In Throgs Neck, we did a survey among high school youth and parents, and the one factor that came out, and that was very consistent among both, is that the lack of awareness of the harmful effects, and youth's access to alcohol is mainly from their own home or their friend's home. So there is this looming perception that it's a rite of passage.
So you can go to your friend's house pretty much, and most people that they say, well, I didn't start at home, I started at my friend's house. But these are places where people really should be paying very close attention.
The home.
If, the home. So when people go visit, you got to be very careful where your children go visit.
Yeah, it's really concerning, and so I think that as much as we can be more aware about those harms that that people don't always think about. I think most people at this point are aware of the harm to your liver, alcoholism, drunk driving, but we're really trying to raise awareness about those other harms that I mentioned earlier, like the STDs, the unplanned pregnancies, violence, even domestic violence. There has been, oftentimes alcohol is involved in some way in sexual assaults and domestic violence. And actually, April was also Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so we tried to do some work with folks from that arena as well, which I think is really our goal at the partnership, and with folks like Janet, is trying to work with traditional stakeholders, people who've done work in the substance abuse arena before, but also bring in other folks who actually care about issues that are absolutely related to alcohol as well. They just might not realize it.
Let me ask you the question about public reception, because here in New York City, a lot of people are just, caught up with the whole fact of the mayor and him trying to deal with, what you can eat and what you can drink and, the whole healthier lifestyle that he's trying to promote. And you got New Yorkers say, look, mind your business. I really don't want you to be involved in my business. I'll deal. What kind of public reception are you guys getting, particularly when you talk about alcohol? Because, you do have that factor of people, the faction of people say, you know what? It's my business. I'm going to do what I want to do. What kind of reception are you getting when you bring out and break out these statistics and let people know about the harmful effects?
We've gotten actually a lot of positive reception. We actually did a project called Share Your Story, which is actually continuing, where we got postcards and we asked people to share their story about how alcohol affected them, someone they love, or their community. And I think at first people look at the postcard and they're sitting there and they're thinking, and then all of a sudden they write this amazing story. And we've been collecting the stories, and myself and my colleagues have been reviewing them and have been, really surprised by this, what people have shared. And I think once you start to think about how alcohol is part of your life or others around you, you come up with a lot of stories. And so that's where we start with the personal story, the connection, then all the statistic, as you had shared earlier, the third leading preventable cause of death in this country. People start to listen and they start to realize that this is relevant to my life, and that I should care.
I was just going to add also, I think one of the other important things is helping parents realize that what they say does matter.
And what they do matters.
And
too.
what they do matters. And that's one of the key things that embracing.
So mainly if you're telling your kid don't drink, you shouldn't be drinking in front of your kid.
Exactly.
Okay,
and especially getting in the car. So I mean, that's one of the key things is really raising awareness. And when parents feel like I did it when I grew up, my child is going to be fine, it's illegal.
Right.
You could take that risk, but just know it's illegal.
And kids are drinking different than they used to. There's actually some research showing that, a couple decades ago, kids were drinking mostly beer. That was their drink of choice. Now they're drinking liquor. Liquor has a much higher alcohol content than beer, and so it's a lot easier to get yourself in a really scary situation if you're drinking liquor. And so I think a lot of parents might not realize that it's a different environment these days. Kids are drinking different types of alcohol, which can lead to a lot more harms to them and to those around them.
And what we've noticed with social media, that's where kids start seeing themselves on Facebook or Twitter or something, and then they're embarrassed, and that's where they start realizing, oh gee, did I do that? I don't want to see myself behaving that way. So that's another way that they themselves are somehow using social media as kind of mirroring their own behavior.
And sounding the trumpet for all of this, and it definitely a notable cause and a most noteworthy cause. Question is about success rate. How do you monitor what kind of success rate you're having amongst young people and amongst the things that you're doing? Because, in this right now, we can admit it's an uphill battle. Is there any way to, get some gas in your tank to say, hey, we're having some success with this?
Sure. Well, the Department of Health for the City of New York does measure regularly different pieces of data, like how often, how much youth drink, how often they're drinking, same with adults, what are they drinking. So there's a lot of data that's being collected on the citywide level, which, there's a lot that's happening in the city beyond what we're doing. And so that is something that you could look at to see what's going on. But I think that we've, at least at the partnership, been trying to collect more data of how people perceive the video that we're showing, how people perceive how the event that happened a couple weeks ago, how that went. And we're really seeing that folks are starting to change their attitudes a little bit, and I think it's been really promising.
And for us, we've seen, as I said, we have done some surveys in our community, and we are beginning to see some change in attitudes. So that's a key. And one of the things, if I could just add a plug in, one of the things we have done, this is for the youth in our community, addressing the parents, letting them know the risk is real. These are bottle tags that high school students have been going around putting at stores, and so when parents go, adults go and purchase it, it reminds them. Teach your teen to think, not drink.
Beautiful. So now, before we leave, and before I let you guys go, there might be a community-based organization, a parent, or somebody out there that's watching right now, saying, "Listen, I don't really," and because admittedly, there's some parents who don't know how to craft that message, and to bring that message home, where there might be somebody that's not just really familiar with talking about that, so they can bring you in. How do they go about bringing you in, and what kind of things do you offer to people to kind of like to get the dialogue going?
Sure. So the Partnership for a Healthier New York City is a citywide organization, but we do have a coalition in the Bronx that's doing work around alcohol, and actually Janet is part of that coalition. And the next coalition meeting is on May 16th from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Walton Family Health Center. So I would encourage people, whether you're a community organization or just a community member who cares, to come, listen, and learn. We would love to have you be part of the conversation and be part of the solution. Also, healthiernyc.org has some great resources on the website, whether it's fact sheets or connections to our social media.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming and sharing.
Thank you.
About out of time for this segment, but definitely a very informative segment. We'll continue to keep people aware, and hopefully they'll take advantage of the information that you posted.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
for having
Thank
us.
you.
All right,
Thank
you guys
you.
stay right here. And guess what? Got to take a quick
yeah,
break. But
got
when we return, we'll hear about being with a vibrant business and find out about their contributions that they're making to the Bronx, as well as to the state of New York. You'll hear about that right after this.
Welcome home, man.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles. Everybody bring it in. I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out. How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork? I help keep kids in school. Good. And that's the name of the game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
We're back here on Open, and when Darren Jaime here with you, we want to take the time to tell you to make sure you can check us out on the World Wide Web by visiting us at www.bronxnet.org. Be sure you can also hit us up on our social networking sites, as that's Facebook as well as Twitter. You can find out more information about Open as well as BronxNet Television. Well, the Empire City Casino has continuously created jobs and provided entertainment to Bronxites throughout the entire state. I should say, and throughout the entire state. And we now want to welcome Ms. Taryn Duffy, who's the Director of Public Affairs at the Empire City Casino. And
Hi.
good to have you.
It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Great. You're our next door neighbor.
We literally are.
Literally are. And many people that drive by, well, give a little bit of history because, the casino's been there for a while and some people still don't even know it actually exists.
I know.
Do you find that to be the case?
Well, it's really amazing. We had 8.4 million visitors in 2012, and still I speak to some people and they're like, I pass it all the time and I've never been there.
Right.
So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing how many people just yet haven't come in, but so many people have, so that's a good thing.
For the people that have, obviously, it's an opportunity for them to do gaming, of course.
Right.
But when you look at it from the casino perspective, in addition to gaming, you have the entertainment component, but then you also have that business component as well.
Yeah.
And I know, here in the borough of the Bronx, we talk a lot about business, and we said before, we talk a lot about the unemployment rate here in the borough, but you guys do a great job of employing people.
We do, and it's actually really, it's an exciting place to work, and it's a great family to work for. The Rooney family has owned that property for over 40 years, and the track is historic. Yonkers Raceway has been in existence since 1899, and it was converted into a full casino about 6 years ago. So we employ over 1,300 people right now. 400 of them at least come from the Bronx.
Wow.
So we are a huge Bronx employer. We just completed, or at the tail end of completing, a $50 million expansion, which adds 2 new restaurants, a craft cocktail lounge with retro bowling lanes, a huge, beautiful new gaming floor, and we created 200 additional jobs with that expansion and 100 construction jobs. So we are right now hiring. We have about another 100 positions to fill through our 2 new restaurants. So anyone out there that has experience in hospitality and food and beverage, front of house and back of house, please visit our website and apply online because we are absolutely looking for great talent.
So in the process where people say there are no jobs out there, you're saying, we got a few left.
We are the rare occurrence, yeah, and it's great to work for a business that's able to do that. It's definitely a smart business acumen that creates that environment that constantly reinvesting in the property, keeping it fresh. We're an entertainment property, so we put everything under one roof. We'll have 4 restaurants, a huge food court. We do live harness racing. We're the second most successful harness track in the country. People don't realize that, but it's fun. I mean, you can go and have dinner trackside and watch the races and have a great time with your friends and yell. Who gets to yell in the middle of a race?
Yeah.
Or in the middle of a dinner?
I was going to say, because when you talk about the Empire City Casino, a lot of people think that it's one of the most underrated or
It really is.
And there's a lot to offer up under the roof.
Well, there's so many secrets to it. Every Wednesday night we do a comedy night, and we bring in comedy talent from around the country. And it's $5 when you show your Empire Club card, which is free to get. You get a free drink, and people are like, don't tell anybody about this. This is my own little secret comedy club. I love it here. We have live entertainment 7 days a week. We do dueling pianos in Dan Rooney's, which is our new sports pub. We have every type of live band. We did summer concerts last summer outside on Sundays, which were a huge hit. We had Pat Benatar and Sarah Evans and Spin Doctors and all sorts of great people. This year we're doubling that in size, so the caliber of talent will be that much bigger.
Talk about the summer, because the summer's around the corner. I mean, my gosh, I
know.
can't believe it's May the 1st, but I mean,
I know.
You got a lot of interesting things that go on during the summer. What goes on?
Well, the summer concerts are going to be big. It draws a lot of people. So every Sunday, there's going to be some really huge talent there. But outside in the evenings, watching the races, there's always something happening. We always do great summer fun promotions. So there's always giveaways, and everybody's hitting jackpots at some point. So but really, it's not just the gaming, and I think that's what people who come there really enjoy most about it. They can try a different restaurant every time they come. They can come with their girlfriends. It could be a girls' night out. It could be a guys' night out. It could be date night. It could be bring your parents. It's just fun. We have a lot of foundations that do fundraising events there, a lot of business. The Bronx Chamber pairs up with other chambers around the area, and they do their networking events by us. So it's just a great time.
So you can come by over to the Empire Casino, and that's right there, right off of, you can go right north. You just can't miss it, because if you're on your way into Westchester County, you just can't miss it right there on Deegan. And so people who have the opportunity to come, they can do gaming, they can do all those kind of things. What are some of the things that, people don't know that maybe they should know?
What I find really interesting is that most people don't realize that the state is our major shareholder without investing a dime. So there's not a taxpayer's penny invested in the property. It's all privately funded. But the state takes 70%, our tax rate is 70%. Wow. So compared to a casino in Atlantic City or Vegas that gets 9 and 10% tax rates,
our state taxes us at 70%, and we operate, a business, 1,300 employees, 14 unions, off of the remaining 30%. But it's for a really great cause because we are regulated by the state and the lottery, and the bulk of our money goes through the lottery to pay for education. So to date, in just 6 years, we've contributed over $1.7 billion to education, directly to educate.
$1.7
billion, which is phenomenal. So there are actually 9 tracks in the state that have VLTs, which what we have, like the slots. We don't have live tables yet. But so from those 9 tracks, the state's gotten about $3.8 billion for schools. Half of that has come from this one property. That's how successful it is.
I want to talk to you about, you've also received the Excellence Award at the Cities and States Above and Beyond ceremony.
Yes, I did. That was great. It's wonderful to be recognized. So it was a proud night for me to be, and there were some really amazingly accomplished women amongst that group. So it was a nice recognition.
So when you talk about the work that you do, obviously you do a lot of, selling, if you will, or sharing about the casino. What is it that people want to see and then when they come and talk to you? What are the things that people want to really see, know about the casino that maybe, we're not too familiar with?
Well, my position is twofold. I do government relations, and so the state right now is looking at modifying the Constitution, amending that Constitution to allow up to 7 licenses for full gaming. We are not permitted right now to have live table games. So if you love poker or you love blackjack, we can't offer that. We do have electronic table games. So I happen to be a craps fan, so we have that electronically, but we don't have a dealer. So that's a large part of what I work on is really educating our electeds on what the potential is for our property. It's 97 acres. The vision for that property is stupendous. They would, the Rooney family would love to develop it further and perhaps provide hotels and an arena for sports and entertainment, larger scale things. So I talk a lot about that. I also do a lot of community outreach because it's a family-owned business. They've been in this community for 40 years. They're very overprotective of that family. They've fought off many buyers, as you could imagine, who want this 97 acres piece of land. It's hard to come by. So I work very closely with our community groups and our neighbors.
So if people want to find out more information about the casino, what do they do?
They can just go to EmpireCityCasino.com.
All right, and find out all about it.
Yeah.
Taryn Duffy, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
It was great to be here.
All right, good to have you. Well, we want to thank Taryn for stopping by, and we want to thank you for staying with us. And guess what? It's been a pleasure coming to your homes. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's show. We want to thank our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast here at 10 p.m. on Cablevision's Channel 67, Verizon Fios, that would be Channel 33, or you can watch us anytime on the web. And we encourage you now to have a great week. Don't forget to keep your heart, your mind, and most of all, this channel wide open. Aaron Hyman, signing off. Take care. Thank you.
That was great.